And as of now, I think we should delete this half of the body because we don't need it now. Ultimately, we have to mirror this entire body again, so no need of keeping these loops as of now. Press B to turn off the soft selection, and yeah, we have half the loops now. So it will make easier for me, it will just make easier for me to work on this software because my system is not taking too much of load. I don't know why, maybe it's just very old system. So yeah, I had to reduce the number of polygons. Okay, so let's call our object, or just import our object. It was, I think, lower body with the name of lower body. Yeah, this one. Let's just drag it in and we'll start the lower body retopology on this one. First of all, let's select this whole thing, go to mesh and combine it. Once done, then just right click on this layer 1 and add selected object to this layer so that we can hide it and hide this mesh. Alright, so now let's make it live. We'll turn on the visibility for our existing mesh, and let's start retopology for this one. It would be really nice if we can just drag these edges down for the legs and shoe, which I think we should do now. So select this mesh and go into modeling toolkit, quad drop, turn on the X-ray mode, and just using shift click and drag so that all these vertices snap to the surface. Let's see how. Although I don't want to disturb the loop above it, so I'm just making sure that it doesn't happen. Okay, so now that we have loops over here, let's just drag it down. Before that, actually, we should manage this loop first, the last loop. Okay, so now it's time for us to extrude this whole loop. So go into edge mode by pressing F10 and select this whole edge loop over here. Okay, and just extrude it. Down to this part. Yeah, very nice. might be thinking, what am I doing right now? So just to explain it a bit, I'm actually trying to achieve 8 polygons or 8 edges around the shoe loop, and I can afford to have triangles over these two areas because this entire thing will be covered by the belt and dhoti. So we don't actually, this part is not required at all. We can actually delete this entire area because there will be cloth covered, this entire area will be covered by cloth, but still I am just keeping it, and I'll see later on if I need to optimize my mesh or my model, and if it is really required to delete this part, then I'll do it. But as of now, I can just have these two triangles so that I can have like 8 polygons, or sorry, 8 edges around the shoe. Okay, so now let's again start the time lapse. So I have added enough number of loops for the leg part. Now it should not have any problem bending from the knee, and I added 2 additional loops in between just for the twist. And here there is one additional loop just for this shoe formation. I am quite not sure should I keep it or not. We'll see it over the time, but for now let's start making this shoe, and after that we'll see whether we really want to keep this loop or not. Let's go. So with the shoe part, we need to have enough loops so that we can do all the toe bend, bending from this paw, and bending from the ankle. We need to be mindful about it while making loops for the shoe. Like I added one loop over here so that we can preserve this hard edge for the, sorry, not hard edge actually, there will be a bone over here. So I want to keep it solid. That's why I did one loop over here. Here there will be bend from the toe, so I need to add this. Maybe we might want to shift it a little bit to the this side, to back, little bit to the back, right? We'll see how to do that. So Maya just stopped working. I don't know what should we do now. Oh, it started working again, I guess. Yep. I just created a loop and it went over here to the top, and I think that's why Maya. Oh my god, what just happened? What just happened right now? Holy shit, that was scary. So I think it created a loop, and since this was the only object which was make live, so it snapped all the vertex to this part. My god, things can go bad in seconds. Should be very careful. Okay, so like I was saying, we need to adjust this foot from the top, and I think okay, so now we cannot do it from this view because the head is in the middle and all. So what you have to do now is go to any other view, let's say side view, and in the top view, go to view and select camera. So probably you will see the camera over here. Can you? No. So you have to go to window, outliner, okay, and select the top view camera, control shift H. Okay, we have to unhide it, so control A and visibility off, visibility on, sorry. Can we see it now? No, we cannot. Okay, yeah, there it is. So now just drag this camera down. Okay, we also have make live on, so just make sure that it is off, otherwise the camera will snap to the mesh. And now you can see from the top view what is happening. I'm just moving my camera across this mesh, and now till we reach to the point where we can see our shoe clearly. I think this is the point, and it is fine now. Okay, and I think we are about done here because almost everything is complete. Now again it's time for our camera to go to its original position. Turn off the make live, set this everything to 0. Oh, we cannot set everything to 0. We have to move this top camera somewhere above, like this, somewhere over here. Should be fine. Let's say we'll make it 50. Okay, and again turn off the visibility to 0. Okay, let's go into our perspective and let's see how things go over here. We'll go into isolation mode. It looks pretty well. There are like so many groups over here. I don't know what these groups are for. I think that's why we are getting very heavy file size, or that's why load times are so high in this file, because of these unknown groups. So we'll do something. We'll try to adjust these groups. We'll try to rectify the problem. We'll try to delete this group and all. We'll see. We'll see about that. But first we have to correct this. So I'm not doing make live on that original mesh anymore. I'm just adjusting or tweaking all these vertices by myself now, because we are having a good amount of volume in this body right now. The purpose of that mesh is done. We don't need that mesh anymore. Just adding the bevel to the shoe. And for this one we have to go to side view, F8, go into isolation mode and adjust this curve. This curve looks little odd, so F9, and we'll try to straighten it up. Okay, rest of the loops are good. I'm just thinking, what if we can just add one more loop over here? Is it even possible? We don't want to have like very less number of loops at the bottom. Should be this whole thing should have even number of polygon across the body. Compared to the face, I think foot have enough number of polygons. Hand has lot of polygons actually. Look at this hand formation. But it was intentional because there's lot of things that happens in hand. It's like bending fingers, then curl, then spread, and all these things. So if I reduce number of polygons over here, we might having overlap polygons while working on rigging and all. So that's why I added so many polygons over here. On the foot though, I think we can add one more loop over here. Can we? Yeah, I think definitely we can add one more loop over here because it's getting a little less number of loops. But for that we have to make the ZBrush mesh live again, and that can be a problem because we just moved some vertices and I don't want them to snap again to this old mesh. We have to be careful about that from now, that we don't accidentally move any other vertex than what we want to. Go into modeling toolkit, quad draw, and let's add a vertex loop over here. Sorry, I'm saying vertex, a loop. This is the loop which I wanted, but now it's like, look at this, it's coming over here. I don't know, is it right or it is not right? Actually, it should not be here. It should be somewhere over here. That's how it should be. So now we have enough loops at the tip of the shoe to maintain its hardness, and we have sufficient number of loops over to the side just in case of any squash and stretch in the feet. That can be supported very well. Just because we have loops in the side, we can squeeze these top loops a little bit to the center. Okay, so I think that's enough for now. We can now go ahead and delete this geometry. Also, let's see what we have achieved so far. Shift right click, soften it, soften, and here we need to pull this loop inside a little bit, just to make a clear difference between the chest armor and the skin from the sides as well. Okay, looks good. I'm not keeping any circular loops for the abs and all, because it is not really required over here. This guy has almost like a flat stomach, so adding unnecessary number of loops just for this thing will not help at all. Although we can just pull these loops a little bit to the side. Sorry, pull this vertices little bit to the side, have them space out evenly. Okay, good so far. Now the next problem is, we had a problem, remember, just look at our outliner right now. We have like so many groups, unknown groups over there. So like I said, we'll see it later, so the time is now. Time to resolve that problem. Wen Chao, outliner. I'm not sure what to do here, because this group can be anything. It is holding transform node. That means I think the transform node for this geometry. So the first thing will be to just delete the history for this mesh. So edit, delete all but type history. The reason I deleted the history is just to remove any linkage of this mesh to these transform nodes, which I believe is linked to this mesh only. Now we can just select this entire thing, lower body, and where is our mesh? We first have to figure it out. Where is the mesh in this group? I think I just saw it somewhere in the middle. There it is, polysurface 1, this, and these are the two meshes. Okay, and we have eye as well, these two eyes, mustache and hair. So select all of this over here, and we'll press Ctrl G to group them. It should be in one of the group. Okay, so group 1 is here, and it has all the meshes which we just made. Now let's just delete all these transform nodes. Let's see what happens. We have anyways our file saved. And like expected, software stopped working. It might probably take some time because there are like too many of them. Okay, so nothing happened to the mesh. Also, I believe these transform nodes might have been associated with those ZBrush meshes which we imported. So our mesh is untouched, nothing happened over here, and I think the file is super light now. See how much how less time it takes to save. Previously it was having that loading bar over here just to save the file. Okay, good work. Let's take a backup of this file, version 1.0, and we'll make it version 1.1. Furthermore, now let's go ahead and add belt over here. So we have a belt at the waist that we have to add. Shoe and all I think looks fine, no problem with that. We are almost complete. We are almost done with this model. Just the belt and dhoti, I think. Rest all is complete. So belt 1, belt 2. We have two OBJs for the belt. Let's just drag them in. Yeah, so these groups are from here only. The ZBrush meshes create all these groups, unnecessary groups. Not actually unnecessary. These are like polygons, and when we combine them into one single mesh by mesh combine, then it leaves those transform nodes, which is making our file heavy. But anyways, So shift, mesh and combine. Oh, before that actually, we should keep this different. Yeah, we should keep this different from this one. So deselect it, mesh, combine. Okay, so now we have two different meshes. We can just add them to layer 1. And since it will always be attached to the body, this belt, so I'm just thinking, what if we can just directly extrude this mesh which we just created, instead of creating a new mesh for the belt. So let's adjust these two loops over here, and we'll try to create belt within our existing mesh itself. So I made few changes while I was offline. Just give you a brief on that. So like I had completed this belt. I think I had completed it in last video while doing the previous recording. And yeah, I completed this part. This was additional. And after that I just mirrored everything across. Once mirroring is done, then I selected this model, went to create UVs and automatic mapping. This will just generate an automatic map for your mesh. So just automatic UV, nothing else. We'll do detailed UV unwrapping when we'll transfer this model to 3D code. So no worries right now. But what we want to really do here is we want to create the apparel over here, or what we call that dhoti. So we want to make that over here. So let's bring that 3D mesh and we'll try to retopo it. So just drag it in, and fortunately this came in as a single mesh. A lot of fortune actually. Let's go into outliner and see what else we got here. Just one group with all our retopo meshes and one group for this extra ZBrush model. Pretty impressive. I didn't expect it to be a one single mesh, but great, but it's good. So let's turn this object into make live, and now we'll start our retopo process. Hey, I'm back. Okay, so we managed to complete the top part of the cloth. Now I have to cover the bottom part from here. The simple way would be just to bridge these edges on the end, these border edges, and then we'll have I think 2 cuts going in between. So I tried to bridge these edges, but it didn't work out. So I think the new plan, or the new plan would be just to extrude these edges and scale them down, something like this. So that way we can at least have these edge loops going on, and later on we'll try to fix the middle part. So let's do it again. I'm not turning make live on here because when I looked at the sculpt, so even inside geometry is not very proper in the sculpt itself. So there is no point keeping that as a reference. And we can just do it all by ourselves. We have one triangle here, but I don't think this will do us any harm, so I am just keeping it here. And one more thing I want to do is I go into sculpt geometry tool and just smooth out these edges a little bit. Although this can be problem in skinning and animation as well, because this mesh will overlap definitely. When you will try to bend your character and all, two meshes will overlap. So the intelligent way would be just to delete this inside mesh so that we don't have to deal with it again and again. Otherwise, managing these two meshes simultaneously will be very tough. Also, I just noticed this is not in one single line, so we might want to correct it right now. Now we'll see whether to delete this inside mesh or not, because this much part is of no use at all. So what we'll do, instead of deleting it, we'll just select this mesh, go into isolation mode, and we'll scale down this this loop, because this loop is colliding with our existing mesh or our outer mesh a lot. Just scale this down and this one down a bit. Okay, now we have enough space for both meshes to bend and take their individual spaces while skinning. And I hope they won't hit each other while doing animation and all. Well, so I think it's almost done. Let's go back. Delete this ZBrush mesh first, go into outliner, Windows outliner, and we'll delete any extra mesh if it is still there. There's so many poly surfaces over here, but I don't think we are ever gonna select them. Yeah, so these poly surfaces are of no use. So let's delete this set entirely. Can put it over here and edit, delete all by type, history, because we don't need to preserve any history, it's all modeling stuff. So yeah, we're good. Loops looks fine, hands, chest looks fine, dhoti and shoe, everything looks fine. Here I think, yeah, here they are overlapping a bit, so we'll just correct this part, press B for soft selection and just pull this out. Same here.